guys, welcome back to the letter. This is TJ Gamer Girl signing on. So, last episode? Basically, more arguments and stuff between Luke and Hannah. And she had a nice breakfast with Marianne while Luke was bossing around the workers. The mansion grounds has been one of the first things to be fixed up, aside from the bedroom. Although it's a work in progress, it had a promising start, and I can already see the flower patches. Luke's favorite daffodils stands out easily, having been transplanted from the pots that used to litter the rooftop of our penthouse. Why, if the moving crew thought that Luke was being hard on them, they clearly didn't see the landscaper on his way out. The man looked like he was ready to faint, and Luke seemed ready to kill him by the end of their discussion. Oh hey, Zach! It is in the gardens that I see him standing near the flowers in quiet admiration. He's hard to miss, the hulk of a man that clearly does not belong. The big backpack and suitcase he has with him makes him look much larger. It's a peculiar sight, seeing someone who looks like he does handling little delicate things with such care. He looks up from the gardens and does a double take before a friendly face replaces his serene expression.
Miss Wright, yeah? Hi, Zachary Steele here from Luxury Living, ma'am. Hope you weren't waiting too long. But it looks like you're still moving in, huh? Thought for a second there my calendar was wrong and I came here too early.
The one and only. Welcome to Maison de Right. And yes, we've been in the process of moving in as we were delayed. But it won't be a problem. They're just adding a few things here and there, and you should still be able to do your work. Where's the rest of your crew then, Mr. Steele?
Zach is fine, please. Mr. Steele makes me feel like I'm a mascot for a cleaning product. Anyway, I'll be your one-man crew for today. Don't worry, been doing this gig for a while now.
You must be quite the veteran to handle this on your own. We've had a full crew coming into our penthouse the last time we were covered in your magazine.
Veteran? Oh, your words are too kind, Miss Wright.
Hannah, if I get to call you Zach, you have my permission to call me Hannah.
Alrighty then. Anyway, I'm no veteran, but I know my camera well enough to make sure this is a good shoot. You can trust me on that, Miss Wright, Hannah.
Zachary proves quickly enough that I can, in fact, trust him, his skills with the camera and expertise in this industry at the very least. He's kind and courteous, listening and following as I lead him around the house. A really nice fellow, and he treats our household staff well whenever we cross paths with them. I answer his questions to the best of my ability, and he's patient enough to answer mine whenever I get curious enough. For one, I ask what the bags are for. They're quite the magician's toolkit. From inside, he had procured several items to embellish the interior with. Bowls of fruit, lemons, trays with peppermills, stacks of cookbooks, cutting boards, and glass canisters filled with colorful nuts and grains are brought in for a kitchen setting. For the bathroom, there are white towels, seashells, and decorative soaps. There were other things as well, too numerous to count, all in that large backpack and suitcase.
Tricks of the trade. Softens up a room, makes a place feel more homey, and fills it up with texture. But you guys probably have better stuff I can use for this.
No lights. Don't tell me all of these are just props.
Well, I've got my tripod here. For things like these, natural light is best. I'll just have to set the shutter speed to a real slow setting, and as long as nobody steps into the shot, it'll look great.
Oh, it better.
We go through the rooms one at a time, although we first tackle the ones that the movers have no business in anymore. The ballroom needs little preparation with its grand design. Although there is some trouble at first, with the wide open space in the pictures being backlit. It is in the kitchen that Zachary's props come in handy. Considering how Johann kept the place so neat and sterile, one can practically eat off the floor. We carry on touring the house and taking pictures where we can, with exception to the rooms, which have yet to gain any purpose or design. Too bad I can't take a sneak peek at his photos yet. Funnily enough, he's using a traditional camera. I didn't even know film still existed. With the way he speaks, however, I can say that he knows about his craft, that I'm not too worried about botched photographs. I imagine photography must be cathartic for him, judging by how at ease he looks while taking pictures. There are small snippets of conversation in between the clicking of the camera. He even goes far as to talk about the terminologies like shutter speeds and aperture when I ask about the technical aspects. I can't quite see the picture as it is made, much like when I watch artists paint on their canvas. But just watching someone passionately practicing their craft such as this is exciting in its own way. Going through the many rooms has been quite the exercise for the both of us. Despite that, he's been so nice, and I find myself putting on my best smile. But it is as we're taking pictures in the foyer that everything comes to a standstill for a moment. Just a moment. And had I not been paying attention, I wouldn't have even noticed. It is merely a split second when Zachary's rhythm is put to a halt. His finger doesn't move to release the shutter. That is so creepy. Yet he also doesn't pull the camera away from his face. His gaze still firmly fixed through the viewfinder. His hands shake, and there's a light sheen of sweat on his forehead.
Zachary?
No response.
Zach? Is something the matter?
Lowering his camera, he blinks and stares at something behind me before shaking his head. Turning around, though, I see nothing that could have gotten his attention.
Oh no, there's nothing wrong. I just remembered something, that's all. Let's get back to the pictures. Can you move a bit more to the left, yeah?
I struggle to respond this time. There's a sudden weight on my back and an indescribable tightness around my throat. Everything stops. And everything starts again as I manage to choke out.
If you're sure.
I don't know what just happened. It was probably just a dizzy spell. I'm fine. And he said he's fine. We continue at the same pace as before, although there's an unspoken agreement that we will not talk about what happened.
So, is this a full-time job for you then?
Nah, I just freelance mostly, for magazines, newspapers, and events. So you can't really call it a full-time job. It's fun and it puts food on the table, but it's not what I really want to do. At least, not all the time.
What is it that you want to do then?
Maybe I've been out of line, sticking my nose in other people's business, but I can't help but ask. I regret doing so, as I see his shoulders slump, and the easygoing air he has fades away. He looks torn over whether he wants to talk about it or not.
Films. Documentaries, mostly. But cinematography is a lot more difficult than photography, right? I was working on this thing, actually.
What thing?
Well, it wasn't really a big thing. People didn't like blue foncé very much.
People don't like a film about colors. I suppose they would have liked Blue Bibby a lot more.
Very funny.
So, Grand Director, do you want to tell me what Blue Foncé is all about?
He hesitates. But when I refuse to budge on the matter, he gives in and spills it all out. Bleu foncé la plus sombre des noirs britanniques. Dark blue, the darkest hours of the black British. He speaks with passion of one who has gone through the very matter he's concerned with. There's conviction, knowledge, and experience in his speech. Why, I would have told him that he's an amazing speaker, if only I wasn't so engrossed listening. Prejudice and discrimination in schools and in the workplace. Lesser chances for opportunity, and higher chances of being treated like a criminal. He spoke of blacks and people of color in general still being treated like second-class citizens. All because of the color of their skin. It's all just positively riveting and sad. It comes to a point wherein he soon loses steam. He looks abashed, realizing what he'd just done.
Sorry, I just got so carried away and...
It's fine. It is really so fascinating to watch people talk about their passion after all. You should see how your eyes light up when you speak so fiercely. You do have very beautiful eyes.
Uh-huh. Thanks, I guess.
I want to say that I understand where he's coming from, but I really don't, do I? I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth, and I've lived a charmed life. It hasn't been perfect, but the difficulties I've been through pales in comparison to what others experience on a daily basis. I certainly don't know how I would have fared were it any different. Would I still have met Luke, and would he still have loved me if I was any lesser?
What was your home like? These things you talk about, it sounds like you've... Well, I don't mean to pry, I mean.
Live with my older sister and my grandparents. We had a shop selling all sorts of things below our flat. And well, I was one of the few non-white, non-British students in class. I didn't get pushed around or anything straight up. Even then, I was one of the biggest kids around, but a pencil and notebook would go missing, you know?
Oh, that I knew. Children could be so cruel at times. Of course, it may be a slightly different story when you have personal guards, and the stolen item is not a pencil, but an expensive heirloom.
So what about you? How you liking your new house? It's pretty impressive.
It's nice, I suppose.
You suppose? Not big enough?
What? No, oh, don't be a bully. It's just that...
I understand if you don't want to talk about it.
I was a little girl, all dolled up and treated like a fragile porcelain, with nursemaids waiting to me hand and foot. All the material possessions anyone could ever want. I could ask for on a whim, and it would be handed to me just like that. But I barely saw my parents. Just goodbye kisses in the morning before they went off to who knows where they were needed to next. I saw them more often on the telly or in the papers than I ever did in person.
I remember my old house. It was a lot like this one. Big walls and big halls, but nobody in it. Not really. It makes you think how alone you are.
A pensive mood overcomes us. And there's a moment where neither of us are sure how to go on from there. Things have gotten a bit too personal, yet it isn't wholly uncomfortable. Like, as if we've been friends before.
Well, that's normal, ain't it? You just moved here. You'll make home out of it yet.
He certainly makes it easy to believe that. My childhood house is indeed a lot like this one. Just as large and extravagant. And just as empty. I hope he's right.
So, Monsieur le Photographe, you've covered the one and only Ermengarde mansion. What's next on the agenda?
The interview?
Boring. It's an interior design and housing magazine.
And they want to know what Miss Wright has to say about her interior design and house.
Honor Wright thinks she bought a magnificent house that she can certainly brag about. Blah, blah. Boring. You know what they should print more of? I watched an interesting documentary the other day. Bleu Foncé, The Darkest Hours of the Black British. I recommend you watch it. Those are the things that people should know about. What do they care if I use a purple or green bowl of fruit in my kitchen?
People, right?
Oui. People are shite. What do you think? Do I look good with this angle?
I strike a pose while he's being busy, looking taken aback for a moment, probably not expecting me to just go and say such a crass word. But he recovers quickly, and after snapping a few shots, he grins.
Yeah, vous êtes belle. You want copies of these ones?
Yes, please. So, the big boy knows French. You must have wooed a few ladies. Unless you're into gents. Either way, French is, after all, the language of romance.
Oh, I don't know about quoting fancy poetry, but I've made lunch for a girl before, and they did like that fancy French cuisine.
Can you cook your best?
I can cook just about anything as long as I know the recipe.
C'est magnifique.
It's been too long since I've had a nice and proper chat with a good friend. No, Lee is certainly not a good friend. Although we've just met, Zachary is the sort who can probably befriend anyone. He's just a comfortable person to be around with. A bit too comfortable. The photo shoot went by a breeze. And somewhere along the way, as we talk and laugh, I find myself getting a bit too close without realizing. He'll give me the strange look until I back off, and he'll go back to asking questions after I agree to do this little interview. And it's just odd. Well, no. Me being friendly isn't that odd. That is how I am. Zachary is the one that's being odd. Why, anyone else would absolutely welcome the extra attention I give them. He, on the other hand, looks almost flustered about it. He should be used to different personalities by now, having to deal with various people when he works. And if not, he needs to start. Perhaps nobody has shown him attention of this kind, but he's a big boy. He should be able to handle me. All it is a friendly touch here. Pretty smile there, gentle swaying of the hips as I move around. Zachary grew more and more red every time he noticed. Am I being mean as I find enjoyment in seeing him unravel? Perhaps. This went on during the interview and beyond that. There is nothing wrong with what we're doing, right? Zachary and I are just having a playful, friendly chat while enjoying the outside view. At least that's how I see it.
I'm sorry, but I'm really getting distracted. Could you maybe stop doing that?
Stop? I'm not sure if I want to, though. No, be nice.
I'll stop if it makes you uncomfortable, sweetie.
Sorry.
No, I should be the one apologizing. Why, you're a shy one, aren't you, big guy?
It's not that, but...
He gestures to the ring on my finger, and thus the fact of the matter hang heavily between us. Being told implicitly that I'm too forward is not a common occurrence. I think I'm more stunned at the fact that he pointed it out rather than, well, being rejected. Not that anything is going to happen between us in the first place. It was just going to be some harmless flirting, right?
So, you've never had a girlfriend?
No. No boyfriend either. You know, just in case you were gonna ask for that one next.
And you haven't even had your first kiss?
Not a one, ma'am.
Do you want to have your first kiss today?
I can't help it. I really, really can't. And I'm going to apologize lots later. Surely by the catty smile on my face, it's obvious I'm just pulling his leg. The laugh I fail to contain certainly gives it away if it isn't obvious. But still, he lights up in embarrassment, stammering and sputtering objections.
You're married, and this will be extremely unprofessional.
I never said I would kiss you, silly. Oh, Johans!
No, what? No. Don't call your butler. She's Hannah.
No, please, I want to see that. Oh my god.
That would be for the better. I don't think his husband would appreciate it if I made him kiss another man.
Oh! Oops. Sorry, Jan.
I do not think you can hear us from here either. But it is hard to think you're not taken, Zachary. Why, whoever becomes your girlfriend will be so lucky to have you. You can cook and take wonderful photographs. Wonderful meals and wonderful memories.
I can play guitar too.
You can? Oh my, wonderful serenades as well then. Perhaps I can find a young lady who deserves a fine, strapping young gentleman like yourself.
Let's not get carried away. Besides, I gotta be going. It's getting late and I got someplace else to be.
A shame. I will be expecting you again soon, I hope. For a copy of my photographs, yes?
Course, I'll even deliver them personally. Just, don't try to make me kiss your butler when I drop by.
As fate would. Hi, Johan. We were just talking about you. And how it would make your husband really upset if you kissed another man. As fate would have it, the very moment the words leave his mouth, Johan comes out of the house. Judging by the straight raise of his brow, he has only heard the tail end of his sentence.
There shall be no kissing of any butlers under this roof, Danke.
But you are not under a roof, are you, Hansi?
To my amusement, he takes a step back, safely placing himself within the threshold of the foyer under the house. I am now, madam. And just as ever, he's quick to return with a sardonic reply.
I am now.
Oh my god! Oh my god! I think the butler's the best character in the game!
As I was saying, madam, it's about time for supper. Will I be needing to set an extra place at the table?
Oh, what? No, I was just leaving, actually. So, you have a good night, Hana. And you too, Pansy.
It was nice to meet you, Zach, honey. You have a safe trip.
He nods, and the grin on his face as we say goodbye is the sweetest that I have ever seen. I linger, looking out for him with his relatively tiny bicycle, backpack safely secured in the basket by the front and suitcase hooked to the back. I watch as he went down the path back to Ansem Village, until he's nothing more than a blip on the horizon. I cannot help but the small smile on my face as I go inside for supper. Entering the dining hall causes me so much confusion. It's dark. For a moment I thought the electric work is not up to par. But that clearly is not the case, as every other room is bright with an artificial light. Finding the light switch for a moment is a monumental task, actually, considering the size and my unfamiliarity with the room. To make matters worse, the darkness grants the room a different atmosphere, eerie and frightening. It takes longer than I thought to find the switch, something that will have to be rectified later on. My skin starts to prickle, and there's a distinct feeling of being watched. It unsettles me, and only spurs me on in my search. And when I do find the lights, there's a hiss.
I'll turn the lights down, woman.
Oh, he's drunk. There, at the end of the hall, is my beloved husband, with his face in one hand and a glass in the other. Perhaps I can let it go if it's only one glass of wine. However, I can feel myself go livid after seeing the toxic green liquid gleam mockingly at me.
Luke, what? Are you drinking absinthe? You know what the doctor said. Absinthe, Luke. Are you actively trying to kill yourself? Because if you are, we can just hit you with a bloody car.
Honeybee, Buttercup, not too loud, please. Besides, it's Lelouch, not too strong. Just hair of the dog that bit me. Helps with the hangover, dearest.
You drank? When?
This morning, love. Don't be mad. I just needed a few drinks, having to deal with those simpletons. And maybe I had one too much. You don't see me whinging about you leaving me to handle them on my own.
I had to attend the photo shoot and interview with Luxury Living. You know that. Let's not make this about me, Luke. This is about you and your drinking problem and...
Oh, I don't know, Hana, darling. What if my drinking problem, as you like to call it, is linked to you? If we think about it that way, this discussion is about you. That was pretty mean of you, leaving me alone to do all the work like that. You can't use the interview as an excuse either, honey. I was informed the moment your little interview was done. So, what was it then, What were you doing?
What's it gonna be? Should I tell the truth or tell a little lie? Lying isn't going to help! Just tell him. I don't care anymore.
I was talking with Zachary, the photographer for Luxury Living.
Yep. Screw you, Luke. I have no reason to tell lies. It's not like I'm guilty of anything. But as Luke's expression turns, he makes me feel like I actually am to blame for something. He has a way of making me laid bare with just a look. That had really struck me when we first met years ago.
That giant...
Oh, you bigoted motherfucker! That's it. I hate you. That you had to go that far.
You were having a secret meeting behind my back and it was with him?
What are you implying?
I'm implying nothing.
Like hell you aren't!
I'm just worried. You know better than to trust those media types, Buttercup. He must have been really friendly to occupy your time like that. But all he's looking for is his next big headline.
He's a photographer for an interior design magazine.
Doesn't matter. You let one little thing slip, one wrong move, and it'll blow up in the telly in the morning. He'll go to his journalist friends to gossip and make a quick quid.
His eyes were the first thing I noticed about him. That was the first thing you noticed about him! And not the fact that he called Zach. Hana, you need to do better. This man is not worth your time and effort. He's a lost cause at this point. Now as I looked at them, they're nothing but the same shade of green as the bloody damn drink in his hand.
He was a perfect gentleman, Luke. I can't say the same for you as of recent.
Excuse me again? We're talking about you, Hana.
No, I am pretty sure we were talking about you and your drinking problem, Luke, right?
Hangover forgotten during the course of this little spat, the man jumps to his feet and seethes. It looks like he's barely stopping himself from throwing the nearest thing he can find.
Oh, it is not a problem. I can stop whenever I want.
Then do so, right now.
And even if it was, I think you can very well stay out of it, as it only affects my own kidneys or liver or whatever the bloody hell that shite pollutes. Whatever aftermath that occurs because of your little chit-chat with the affects the both of us, however.
You are really making me want to put your lights out!
Look, Luke, nothing will happen. You have to relax. It was just a friendly chat.
Well, now I think I'm getting jealous. Or I would be if it weren't for this damn headache.
Maybe you should drink more.
Maybe.
Supper is spent in silence with nothing but the occasional sound of silverware. A grand feast has been served. Well, grander than usual anyway. Most likely due to Luke's complaints of stress. A platter of native oysters for starters, and tranche of turbot with purple sprouting broccoli, lemon, capers, and anchovy sauce for mains. To finish it off, black tea and golden syrup sponge pudding with custard. But when our appetites are appeased and the plates are cleared away, Luke stands, kisses me goodnight, and leaves me to stare at my half-empty cup. Lonely in the lull of night, I sit in a house too big and too empty, foreign and unwelcoming. Even with its warm tone and homely decor, it feels cold. There's no need for tears, however. I know I can get through this like every other obstacle I faced before. This is a minor setback in what I hope will be a long and happy life. To remind myself that this place is for Luke and for our future children fills me with a renewed vigor. Besides, it looks like someone is having a cry already. The wailing is far away and muffled, yet at the same time it shakes me to my very core as I hear it. As if the suffering is just standing right beside me. Hearing it sends a chill down my spine, and it makes my skin prickle with goosebumps. Who is that? Curiosity sinks in as I follow the sorrowful sound into the kitchen, and into the wine cellar hatch.
Hello? Is anybody down there?
I'm curious and concerned, but there's no way I'm going down into a dark and humid underground. Hello? Is anyone down there? Have you been kidnapped and been held in this mansion for God knows how long? It'd be really bad if it was that. I'm not as enthusiastic as Luke, who considers himself quite the connoisseur. However, I also cannot bring myself to go to bed with this racket going on. If it's one of the household help, they will surely need some talking. After all, this wouldn't be the first time I've gone and found one of the maids sobbing their eyes out over one thing or another. As professional as our staff are, they're still human. More often than not, it was either Johann or I who'd calm them down, who'd help them figure out how to go on about things. Unfortunately, I'm not in high spirits right now, so I'm not as wholly benevolent. So I will... I don't want to open the hatch. I know where this is going. I knock 3 times. Waiting for any sort of reply yields me no results, and I've already touched the floor hatch far too many times than what I'd like. I take a deep breath before reaching out again to whoever is inside. I've learned from the experience that people respond better to kindness than threats. Shouting angrily would not help in coaxing them out.
You, in the cellar, do come out. We don't want Luke waking up and finding you in there, do we? That man would go ballistic thinking someone was trying to steal his precious wine.
Still nothing.
You can have a good cry. Just not in there, yes? Why don't you come out here and we can have a cuppa and you can tell me all about whatever it is you're bawling about?
With how long I'm standing here, however, I'm starting to think of myself as a fool. I did not want to acknowledge the other feeling I have, especially as the wailing took an eerie turn. The thought of being played with didn't sit too well with me, and I had to stop myself from getting too hot-headed as I tried one more time.
Now you come out of there! That is an order from the lady of the house, do you hear me? Why, I ought to...
I freeze as a hand clamps down on my shoulder. The dread I've been feeling all this time makes itself known as I kneel unmoving, not even daring to breathe. I can feel my heart pounding against my chest. But the touch is gone, as quickly as it seized me. It's only Johann! I see when I look back.
Apologies, madam, for touching you like that. You were not responding to my voice, and you looked about ready to wake the whole mansion up.
I was... I'm sorry. I was getting rather loud, wasn't I? But that crying woman in there, we must do something about her.
He grows silent for a moment, just looks concerned. At least I like to interpret it as concern, given how stoic our head butler usually is. Or rather, it must have been concern, as he takes off a glove and presses the back of his hand at my forehead, before his worrisome inquiry.
I beg your pardon. What crying woman? Are you feeling well, madam?
In the cellar. Can't you hear her?
Madam, Hannah, no one is down there.
What?
The cellar is locked. Only Luke and I have duplicates of the keys. Nobody is down there.
I stare at him in disbelief. But when I listen once more, I hear no crying. Tugging at the hatch for good measure to prove his words to be true, too. The thing won't budge unless I had a key, short of using power tools on it.
Perhaps it is time for you to go to bed, madam. You are simply tired and hearing things, a perfectly normal human experience. But if you are still experiencing auditory hallucinations in the morning, you are free to consult with me.
There's a cold feeling in the pit of my stomach as he helps me up to my feet. What he says makes sense. And who I am to question someone who used to be a doctor. I'm just tired. That's it. A long day of moving, the interview, dealing with Luke, has all drained me of any proper sense.
Yes, I suppose you're right. I just need some sleep, that's all.
Of course I'm right. Go on then. Gute Nacht.
Good night, Johannes. Good night, house.
It's just fatigue. That's what I keep telling myself, although I can't ignore the strange feeling in my gut. Either there's something wrong with this house, or there's something wrong with my head. Sleep will be elusive tonight. Alright, gonna end the episode here. We'll continue in the next one. I don't give 2 shits what happens to Luke anymore. One of them is his chapter. Anyway, we'll continue this in the next episode. Till then, this is Gamer Girl, signing off. Bye-bye.